Can you sit? Can you sit? Good girl. Good morning, guys. So today it is, what is it, 60 degrees outside. Pretty cold as far as the weather we've seen lately. So hot coffee is a must. But I'm gonna put on my jacket and take you guys outside to see the garden. Hey, what's up, guys? If you haven't been here before, my name is Rachel and this is Auxhart Gardening, and every week I do a garden tour on Wednesday to not just show you guys what's going on in the garden, but also sort of lead you through my thought process throughout the year as far as what I'm planting, how I'm planting it, how I'm thinking about solving problems in the garden, etc. Right now I have a large pile of free wood mulch that I picked up from the city, and some of this has been spread on the garden already. The rest of it I'll spread as I can because plants are about to start coming out, and once they come out I will have the room to actually take my little gorilla cart and go down the rows and put this in the pathways. So the wood mulch is just for the pathways, and I have straw over here to go in the rows where the plants are going to be. If you haven't seen my video about checking your straw for herbicides, then I'll link that up above. It's an unfortunate reality that a lot of grass crops these days are sprayed with this herbicide that doesn't kill grass, so it's fine for grass, but it kills a lot of things like tomatoes and peppers, and you got to be really careful if that's coming through on your straw, which is a grass crop. So before we get into the main garden, I wanted to show you guys my seedlings. These are some of my brassica seedlings, and they look okay. So these lettuces over here look pretty good, and some of these other ones in here, they look okay. And you can see I didn't get like super great germination, so I probably need to start an entire new flat with even more seeds so that I can get enough plants to fill up my garden. I always like to overplant in trays like this, just so I can make sure that I have enough strong plants, because you can see even if you get germination, like sometimes things just happen and one or two seedlings end up looking really sad, and so I like to be able to have my pick of all of the strongest looking seedlings in cases like this. Also, as I was spreading mulch in this area right here by the path, I had put a sweet potato right about there, just because I had an extra slip and I didn't know where else to put it. And so I had to dig that up to go ahead and mulch. And this is the sort of sweet potato that I got. I've got a couple more over here. They look kind of like sweet potato worms. I think those will be perfectly fine to eat. And I think today I'm going to pull out the rest of the sweet potatoes so that I can make room for other stuff that needs to get planted. I just realized I came out here without a basket. We'll see how bad that ends up being. So right here on the right is my tomato row. I mean the right side of the garden, it's the left side of the frame here. And also mixed in with the tomatoes, I have these pole beans. They are purple, they're called blue cocoa. And they are this like beautiful velvety purple color. They're very smooth and very productive. This is one plant right here on the end, and that has produced, like, this one plant alone is probably all I would have needed for my own fresh eating. And then I've got two more plants down the row here that have helped produce enough for me to be able to put some up. As you can see, tomatoes, they're winding down, but they're still not dying. Like this area looks the worst here, and you can see some of these tomatoes are still trying to ripen in here, so I'm gonna let them do that. But imminently, not today, but as soon as I have time, tomato plants are coming out because I do have fava beans planted under here, and those are definitely going to need the space and the sunlight to get going before things start getting really chilly. Because right now it's still going to warm up to be in the mid-70s today. Oh, this one's dropping down. It's now hiding the ones that I'm saving for seed back there. Yeah, so it is still going to get warm today. We've got a couple more weeks where it's going to be cool at night and warm during the day. And then that'll give me enough time to just kind of start clearing out the garden and letting some of the stuff that I planted, like these fava beans, start actually getting good sunlight and starting to grow up. Alright, back at the front of the row, and as you can see, this next row is a complete mess. I used to be able to walk through there, and a combination of the peppers kind of falling over, the corn started falling over, and then this bean plant kind of hooked on to some of this, and I think it's been tugging it that way as well. So this is completely blocked off, but back there I can see a pepper turning red, so I'm going to try and maneuver around there and go pick that. Oh, but first check out this cute little basil patch at the front of this set of rows. My marigold that I planted a little late took forever. It grew really big and now it's just now blooming. It's really pretty, but I think it's interesting that it took so long. And so that is the only marigold that survived. I started several and they all died, and then this one survived and it looks super healthy. So I'll save seeds off of that. And then my basils here, I especially like the purple one. This is the only variety that I grew that didn't try to go to flower all summer long. This is purple opal basil. I think I got the seeds from Baker Creek. And then I've just got regular Emily basil and lettuce leaf basil here. I gotta say lettuce leaf is my least favorite because you can see how some of these leaves are turning black. A lot of these leaves end up looking like this, and I don't see nearly as much of this on my other types of basil. Alright guys, I've successfully made it to the other side of this pepper jungle, and you can see this pepper I'm going for over here. Oh wow. So I really didn't think that these pepper plants were going to do well, because if you remember earlier in the season, they looked very sickly, and you can see that the plants are still kind of fighting off whatever that is. But they're doing so much better. I can see actually maybe a couple more in there that are, you can barely see it on camera, that are starting to turn red. And you can see the tops here look like nothing ever happened. These are incredibly tall pepper plants. They're taller than me. And coming up soon, I'm going to tell you guys about kind of what I did and what I think really helped as far as helping these pepper plants get past this disease to this point where they are now trying to be super productive. But that is a somewhat longer story that I don't want to go into right now. Yeah, I knew not bringing a basket was not going to go well. You see I've got a couple tomatoes down here. They're just starting to blush. I keep pulling them right about here because if I don't, they will definitely get eaten by bugs. Mostly caterpillars like to burrow into them. And right here at my feet is a sweet potato vine. So I'm going to have a lot of fun digging sweet potatoes out of random places in my garden, potentially indefinitely. Look at her digging over there. This is why I struggle to have my root vegetables sprout, because every time I leave any exposed dirt, she's like, oh, that's for me? New litter box? Got a basket because I definitely need to pick some of these eggplants over here. This Nagasaki long eggplant has been incredibly productive for me, and I think they're really beautiful. I think also the fact that they're sort of a uniform width makes them pretty easy to use. There's actually a lot down in here. Ooh. I guess I'm making baba ganoush soon. Oh my god, here's another one on the same plant. Whoop. And there's about 5 or 6 more that are like this size that'll be ready to pick in like a week or so. I've got one of my antiquas ready down here. Yank. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Some people call these fairy eggplants. My Tabasco plant is producing like crazy. You can see it also has the disease, but it really did not seem to be slowed down by it, like at all. So that's good to know. Definitely gotta pull some more ripe peppers off of here. I'm putting them in a freezer bag right now, so that later I can make Tabasco sauce with all of them. This eggplant down here at the end is even still making flowers. These are heavy producers, these eggplants. Alright, so if I look behind me from where the eggplants are, this is where all my sweet potato vine is. I'm going to go ahead and set up my tripod and start yanking some of this up. Check this out. Look, there's so many. Alright, let's start wiggling them out. I don't know where my shovel is, so I'm making do with my hands. Alrighty. Let's put these over here. And get this vine out of the way. Alright. So we've got this one. Oh, this is all one. Look at that. That is so much sweet potato in one spot. That plus what was already in the basket. Whew. That was a little bit more work than I was expecting, but these are all my sweet potatoes and a bonus turnip. This is from, I think, just 3 sweet potato slips that I put in. There were 3 main crowns that I dug up, and then a bunch of these smaller ones kind of along the vines. This is what the area looks like now. Kind of bare. You can see this little area I cleared does have some actual carrots sprouting up in there, along with a bunch of onion grass. And I now can see that there's more than just these 2 potatoes coming up. There's 2 more coming here. These are those purple potatoes. I had planted a second round of them midsummer after I harvested the first round. And I'm learning a lesson about them, that they don't like germinating in the heat. Because this basically entire row of purple ones that I planted that I didn't see any of this summer are just now coming up. And I'm not sure if they'll have time to do anything, but I'm gonna just let them live and see what happens. So now this area here, so this is where stuff is currently planted, and this area next to it is now going to be my second round of carrots, which I'm going to try and cover and protect from little menaces like that one over there, who have dug up a lot of the carrots that I tried to plant here. But the fact that it got dug and I still see as many sprouts as I do is encouraging, and that's why I'm going to plant another row kind of close there and keep it covered and see if I can't get some carrots this year. If we look back at the front over here, this front trellis looks bare, but there are peas slowly growing up it. Mostly the telephone peas, I think, sprouted better than the magnolia tendril by far. So I only see a few magnolia tendril, and pretty much every single seed of the telephone sprouted, which is very interesting to me. But there are a few. You can see on the outside of the trellis, those ones out there. Those are the magnolia tendril. And I'm thinking that these look like they're in a pretty good place considering the weather that we've got coming up. And this year I'll probably have more peas than I did last year. Sort of the theme of this fall gardening season is start things a little earlier than you think, because they need a little more time than you think, because the sunlight is less than it was. Alright, so if we look at this final row, which is zinnias and hot peppers, zinnias still flowering, still being beautiful, and I am just now starting to get a good harvest off a lot of peppers over here. They were probably a little slower because of the shade of this tree up here, but they do look a lot healthier. Well, they have looked a lot healthier this whole season than the ones that got the disease. So all of that is very interesting. And I think, let's see, we've got some all the way over here. These plants are kind of falling over. But these, I think, are going to be really good. I learned that these are not the banana pinos that I thought they were. I'm not even quite sure what they are. They look like they should be banana pinos. They might be big gems, or they might be something else. I definitely had them last year and thought that they were banana pinos, but they definitely don't look like big gems, so it seems unclear. But last year they were very spicy. Right, and then further down we have the Brussels sprouts. This is the older plant, and this is the newer plant, and this one over here is another new plant that seems to be quite stunted. I've got a few more sprouts, but this one I think is going to be my big producer this year. And over here I don't have anything yet, except for a hole dug by my cat who thinks she's a dog. Alright, so I'm going to quickly look over the raised bed. Looks approximately the same. I do have in here a few grass sprouts, but hidden among them is one cilantro sprout, so that's good news. I planted a lot of cilantro here, and at least one of them has come up. Might have to plant a few more, and I did plant them kind of close here, but a lot of this I'm gonna chop off and dry. This oregano plant definitely needs to be cut back. Over here I keep trying to plant what is it called? Chamomile. And I see little babies coming up that might be chamomile. We'll have to see, but I have not been doing a good job with chamomile, mostly because I struggle to keep the surface of anything damp. Well, this is an onion I must have forgotten to pull. Struggle to keep the surface damp enough for those itty bitty seeds to really sprout, and this is kind of a chunky medium for them to be starting in anyway. My berry patch looks a little more put together than it usually does because I did a ton of weeding and remulched a lot of it. So I gotta figure out what to do with this patch of grass that insists on living on the sidewalk. But you can kind of better see now my blueberries, which look okay. This one has started putting on new growth, which I think is a good sign that it's feeling a lot happier than it was. These strawberries are very happy. You can see they're already coming across the top of the mulch here if I move my shadow. And interestingly, I have seen my raspberry bushes starting to flower. There's even a little bee here on them. So I don't understand why they'd be flowering this late, but there's Kata. But here we are. If anybody knows if I need to cut these off or not for the health of the plant, let me know, because this is definitely my first year growing raspberries or blackberries or anything like that. Anyways, this has been a fun morning. Digging up potatoes is always really fun because you never know what you're gonna get. It's like a little treasure hunt. It reminds me of those like little sandbox hunts that you would do as a kid, where all the adults would hide like stuff in the sandbox and then all the kids would go dig through and looking for stuff. It reminds me of that feeling, that like hit of dopamine every time you find something cool. Anyways, check back next week for another garden tour if you're new here. I put up playlists for last year and all of the garden tours this year if you want to keep up with that, catch up. If you guys like my videos, you can support me by subscribing and liking this video. You can also support me by subscribing to my Patreon. I've got a bunch of different tiers, and one of the cool things that I have to offer are currently patron-only sticker designs, which I should be getting samples of soon to show you, so that you guys all know. But right now, patrons are the only ones getting stickers. I don't know if I'll ever be able to sell stickers like to everyone. If I can, I might, but there are going to be a few designs that are always patron specific, and patrons will always be the first to get new sticker designs. Alrighty, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for supporting me if you do in any way that you do. Thank you, and happy gardening.